I have an apology for you. I said to you before that Ken Martin was a progressive from Minnesota. I'm so sorry, I take that back completely. It's totally wrong. This is just another guy who's just a part of a cog in the machine. Oh, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Israel, we know, yes, please slaughter away.
One thing all of us in this room agree on is that the crisis in Gaza is urgent. This resolution is focused on the humanitarian crisis and makes clear that it must be addressed as the emergency that it is. As I've always said, we have to center humanity in this conversation.
All right, the Democratic National Committee met in Minneapolis today to discuss ways forward, but the party was unable to overcome opposing stances on Israel and Gaza within its own ranks. So now the question of Israel is threatening to break apart the Democratic Party. So on yesterday's show, Cenk, I know you guys covered Israel's double bombing of a hospital in Gaza. The famine in Gaza has been declared by international humanitarian agencies a deliberate act of genocide by Israel against the Palestinian people. And even public support for Israel is lower than it has ever been on both sides of the political aisle. But the US Democratic Party still cannot and will not break from Israel. And we are starting to see those cracks play out in real time. We have an election coming up next year, and savvy voters can't just look at who the Dem is on the ballot. You have to look at who is the Dem, but also are they an AIPAC Dem? Because that is gonna be a significant distinction going forward. We already saw that it was a big factor in the 2024 election. So what do you think, Cenk? Will Israel finally break the Dems?
Yeah, so look guys, the voters are so important in this context. So we're gonna get back to the Democratic voters that can maybe fix this thing, and I'll tell you how a little bit later in the video. And we have to, and we're not blaming the voters here. In fact, the voters are crystal clear. 8% of Democrats think that we should continue to support Israel's military actions in Gaza. 92% say no, and that was in a poll in July. That number might be even higher now that famine's been declared, and we keep seeing video after video of them starving children to death, killing people live on air, etc. Total, utter lawlessness, but none of that matters. And even your opinion, my opinion doesn't matter. What it matters is this is the Democratic National Committee. They're supposed to represent the Democratic voters. And the Democratic voters are crystal clear here. 92-8, you can't ask for more. What do you need, 94-6? Doesn't make any sense, that's it, super clear. So of course, the DNC voted against their own voters, against 92% of their own voters. Why? I have a very simple explanation. By the way, I read a number of mainstream media articles about this, and none of them even mentioned this as a factor. Not even a factor. Corruption, they get money from the Israeli lobby. They almost all get money from the Israeli lobby. That is a legalized bribe. Here's money from Israel or from Israel supporters, and you are to do what Israel commands you. And they're like, oh, this is a conundrum. I mean, 92% of our voters want it. And they're like, a conundrum, that's a good one. We never do anything for our voters. Why would we change it now? High five. So the corrupt crooks at the DNC are like, no. Israel, we love you. We're so worried about the anti-Semitism. God, what do you mean anti-Semitism, brother? They're murdering Palestinians right in front of our eyes. They're starving Muslims to death. How about Islamophobia? Are you worried about discrimination against Muslims when Israel goes, I don't care about Muslim lives? I'm gonna slaughter them and take their land? Isn't that bigoted against Muslims? No, shut up. You didn't bribe us, shut up. I'm only concerned about, not Israel. Of course, it's actually Israel. They're not concerned about anti-Semitism at all. They're giant liars, okay? But they can't say Israel. They can't say, oh, my pockets are stuffed full of cash from the Israeli lobby. So they say, oh, I'm so concerned about anti-Semitism. I'm so worried about bigotry. Oh, bigotry against Muslims, slaughter them, slaughter. Here, in fact, here's money. I'm gonna make it rain so you can murder as many Muslims as you like. And my voters don't want it, who cares? Who cares? I'm a corrupt Democrat. That's what they just said to you. Okay, and so, and then what drives me crazy, we'll talk about this more later, is that then a bunch of Democratic ass kissers who are hosts on cable news and elsewhere will try to convince Democratic voters, no, Democratic leaders should betray you. They should never listen to you. And if you don't bow your head to a bunch of crooks, you're supporting Trump. No, why don't you clean up your own house so you can beat Trump, so you can beat Republicans, so you can actually represent your own voters. But for Democrats, that is a bridge too far. Like if they see this video, they're like, outrageous. You're telling me that I'm not supposed to take those legalized bribes? Do you know how much they're offering? They're offering hundreds of millions of dollars. We're gonna get fat on that. And our greed for that outweighs our concern about stupid Muslim lives. Slaughter away, starve away, okay, as long as I get the cash. These Democratic leaders have destroyed the Democratic Party. They have betrayed Democratic voters, and they have betrayed this country. So yes, tell them more about the details, and I'm gonna come back and kick their ass again.
Absolutely. Okay, so the DNC panel attempted to address the issue and the very wide split within the party. The panel took up 2 resolutions related to Israel and Gaza, and they advanced neither of them. Here is Ken Martin explaining his more moderate resolution. Take a look.
Thousands and thousands of innocent lives have been lost in this conflict. It has now become commonplace, unacceptably, to accept civilian lives as a casualty of conflict. One innocent life lost is one too many. My resolution calls for the secure and unrestricted flow of aid to Gaza, which is absolutely essential, and is the position of 44 Senate Democrats who signed a letter recently calling for a large-scale expansion in aid. The resolution also recognizes the complexity of the conflict in the Middle East and calls for a long-term peace through a 2-state solution negotiated through direct bilateral negotiations.
Okay, yes, I gotta jump in. I gotta jump in. You have to understand what kind of a lie that is and what kind of a trick that is, okay? He says one too many innocent lives is too many, but it's complex. But wait, you just said it was one too many is not, so we have to stop it, right? We said, well, no, we don't have to stop it. We have to give Gaza aid while they're being slaughtered. So don't stop the slaughter, don't stop sending them money, continue the slaughter, but as they're getting slaughtered, help them a little bit around the edges. Do you know that that's so uncontroversial that Donald Trump is in favor of it? So like they're pretending that they care. That's what makes me sick. When he talks about, we have to center humanity. I don't know what that means. So there's garbage talk about centering things. Well, where's your humanity? Where's your humanity? They're starving them to death. Where's your goddamn humanity? Oh, no. Oh, what we should do is, he said it's unacceptable. Then he said we should accept it. If you fund a genocide, then you are accepting a genocide. That's not complicated at all. But he says, yeah, it's complicated because we're all getting bribed. And so if I want my bribes and I want you to, and I want to pretend that I'm doing something, I'll call for a 2-state solution. Brother, we've been calling for a 2-state solution for 50 goddamn years. That doesn't mean anything. How do you get to a 2-state solution? How do you get there? You get there by applying leverage. We've applied infinite pressure to Hamas. Good on Hamas, good that we apply pressure to Hamas. Not good that we slaughtered innocent Palestinians and did collective punishment, right? But certainly we've applied an enormous amount of pressure to the Palestinians. I don't know that they could stand one more ounce of pressure. The Israelis, nothing. No. We'll always fund you. We'll always rob the American taxpayers and say, go back to work. Israel doesn't have enough money. You're gonna take your money and we're gonna give it to Israel. You keep slaughtering. Then you tell me it's unacceptable? No, you're saying you should accept it. And by the way, that moderate proposal was only put up to defeat the one that actually said take money away from Israel. That's the one that's real and would have an effect. So the whole moderate proposal was a trick in the first place. But here's my favorite part of that, okay? Then after the trick is over, and I knew Yaz was gonna say, but after they do the vote, and they're like, okay, good, your resolution was defeated. Well, we're taking ours away anyway. Our masters called and said, how dare you? How dare you even do fake things? that seemed to slightly chastise us. Take away that resolution. And Ken Martin was like, I'm so sorry, Israel. I'm so sorry, Israel. And they took away the resolution. Okay, just please. If you're not gonna do anything and you're gonna be complicit in a genocide and you're gonna say the Democratic Party should fund ethnic cleansing, which is exactly what you're saying. It's exactly what you're saying. When you say that, please spare us. Don't insult our intelligence and say, oh, I have done so much. I did a fake resolution that declared absolutely nothing and then I took it away. Shut up. All right, back to you, Yes.
Yeah, it was a wildly unproductive meeting that they had. So here's more from the Washington Post about the more progressive proposal. Panel members voted down a proposal from a new Gen Z member of the DNC that asked the party to support an arms embargo and suspension of military aid to Israel. They approved another, backed by DNC Chairman Ken Martin, that called for a ceasefire, unrestricted humanitarian aid to Gaza civilians, and a two-state solution to the conflict. But Martin ultimately pulled his resolution, saying the party is dividing and vowing to create a committee that would bring solutions back.
We're gonna bring solutions back. When are we gonna bring it back, Ken? We're gonna bring it back in 2 years, 20 years? After they've slaughtered almost everyone in Gaza? When are we gonna bring it back, Ken? You're not gonna bring it back. What you're gonna bring back is tons and tons of money from AIPAC, Democratic Majority for Israel, and every Israeli lobby group, and you're gonna sell out 92% of Democratic voters just like you did today. Okay, so please stop pretending. And I don't want to, I'm sorry guys, hey, I have an apology for you. This is important. I said to you before that Ken Martin was a progressive from Minnesota. I'm so sorry, I take that back completely. I was totally wrong. This is just another guy who's just a part of a cog in the machine. Oh, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Israel, we know, yes, please slaughter away. We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back with solutions. You're not coming back with anything. So just the most useless leadership. I'm not just talking about Ken Martin, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton. Oh, we know, we're so smart. We're gonna beat Trump. It's gonna be easy. It's a guarantee. We know how to win. Progressives don't know how to win. Oh, they try to serve the voters. Boo! We serve Israel and the corporations. And how's that worked out for you, dumbasses? You lost to Trump twice. The guy doesn't have an IQ above 70. Oh, no, we got this figured out. We'll bring solutions to you many years later, but meanwhile, we'll keep kissing donor ass. And that's what you're doing, Ken. And that's what everyone at the DNC is doing, except those brave, wonderful young people who suggested the infinitely better resolution. Yes.
Yeah, so there was that Gen Z member of the DNC. So her resolution, there was actually an attempt to amend the embargo resolution that she put forth, and that was Allison Minnerly. She's a 26-year-old from Florida. The proposed compromise was to specify an embargo on offensive weapons as opposed to defensive weapons. And that was, I guess, to appeal the people who are always like, oh, Israel has a right to defend itself. But even that didn't get through. And this is hurting the Democratic Party in a very, very real way. Despite their efforts to not acknowledge the issue, many Democratic voters have told the party that they specifically withheld votes from Democratic candidates, especially Kamala Harris in 2024, due to their stance on Israel. And the polling does show this. So public opinion has moved since the war began on October 7th, 2023, when the Palestinian militant group Hamas launched a deadly surprise attack on Israel. Americans have grown less supportive of Israel's military action in response, and Gallup polling in July found that support among Democrats has dropped to 8%. And I do want to point out that since October 7th, I think a lot more Americans have become educated on what has been going on in Gaza, not just since October 7th, but for the last several decades. So here's more reporting. Democrats are trying to bounce back from a difficult election in which disagreements over the Middle East flared up. In Michigan, a critical swing state that could also play a leading role in Democrats' 2028 presidential primaries, some 13% of primary voters last year cast votes of uncommitted. The vote was part of a protest movement designed to rebuke the Biden administration as being too accommodating of Israel. But of course, the Democrats still have not learned their lesson. And instead of going after what the voters want, they're instead chasing big dollar donors. Presumably AIPAC is one of those. So as the people move against Israel and the party sticks with it, there is an increasing divide between party leaders and voters. For instance, the party still has not endorsed Zohran Mamdani for mayor of New York, despite his winning the Democratic primary against not one, but two establishment Democratic figures. And in North Carolina, a state where Dems are hoping to be competitive in the midterms, state Democrats in North Carolina just voted to condemn Israel for apartheid rule. But seemingly unmovable, the DNC bylaws state that it will consider resolution proposals that are consistent with the party platform. And the party platform as of last year is that they address the quote unquote extreme suffering in Gaza, but maintain a quote unquote ironclad commitment to Israel. So that is what we're dealing with, and it is baffling. I understand Cenk's anger here that they refuse to just toe them to listen to their voters, right? And we are being as clear as we can possibly be on this issue. There should be no confusion as to what the voters want. And the MINNEAPOLIS from Florida, she acknowledged that, some Democrats are acknowledging that the voters are turning one way, that the tides are shifting, that the usual rhetoric doesn't go anymore. But there's also the fact that, as I said earlier, people are more educated on what has been going on between Israel and Gaza for since 1947. And we also are seeing for ourselves with social media and, we have access to things that we didn't have access to before. We can see for ourselves what is happening over there. Also, the international agencies are saying this is a genocide that is happening. A famine doesn't just happen in a war-torn area. A famine is something that is inflicted upon a people by the people who are trying to exterminate them, right? So we know all these things, we see all these things. The American public, especially Democratic voters, are not having it anymore. And then even on the Republican side, right? They're not a fan of what's going on either. They might have different reasons. I don't think they care as much about, Muslim lives that are being wasted away in Gaza. But they don't like that the United States continues to send money over to Israel, whether it's for defense or offense or whatever. We're sending so much money to this country in the Middle East, and for what? And they have better rights than we do over here. They have access to better healthcare. They have access to better education over there. And what are we dealing with over here? So Cenk, I'll give you the last word on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give our members the last word because look, it's enraging that they're sending money to a country in the middle of committing a genocide, ethnic cleansing, and starvation, mass collective punishment. I mean, it's just disgusting in every way imaginable, but that's not even the biggest issue here. The biggest issue is the Democratic voters are crystal clear, 92%. And the Democratic leaders say, F our voters. We hate our voters, and we're never going to do anything you want. We prefer our donors because they bribe us legally so much more than our voters. And we don't mind losing every election. As long as we get the donor cash and all our consultants get rich and we all get giant houses in Fairfax and McLean all around DC. We don't care about losing. We're gonna betray our voters at every turn. So that's why turn to the voters here. These are our paying members on TYT.com. Thrilled to give them voice, which the Democratic Party doesn't. Mongoose Dragon says, go F yourselves, DNC. I'm a damn lib says, I'm feeling like Anna, politically homeless. Because the Democrats, you're like, hey, I'd like to join the Democrat. I'm on the left, I'd like to be a Democrat. They're like, give me money. I'm like, wait, what? I don't have money, I'm just a regular average voter. They shut up, I'm gonna listen to the donor class instead. All right, okay. And then finally, Dragon Tree says, the Democrats, politicians hate their base. They just want Republicans to accept and love them. We are leaderless, and that depresses me so much. Because it's worse than being leaderless. Your leaders are betraying you at every turn, And so that's why it's, as I described in my book, Justice Coming, it's good cop, bad cop. So you think the good cop's on your side? You have a bunch of liars on MSNBC and a bunch of kiss asses all over online video going, oh yeah, no, if you kiss Democratic ass enough, that'll work, that'll defeat Trump. No, it hasn't worked. They've been lying to you 2,000 times over. They're doing propaganda. You know what would win for Democrats? Actually being on the left. Actually doing the super popular proposals that your voters want. That's what would work, you idiots, you corrupt crooks. We all hate you. That's not because we hate Democrats. We are Democrats. We hate you for betraying Democratic voters. You're not our leaders. You're not at all our leaders. You are the followers of a bunch of rich donor class guys, whether it's foreign governments, it's defense contractors, it's oil companies. All you do is serve them, and you disgust me. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.